Today in the Smuggler's Room, we're back with our old pal Rodney, and we're trying to finish the terrarium. That's coming up. What's up, you awesome geeks? I'm Brian, and welcome to the Smuggler's Room. This week, this chubby geek is once again trying to make progress on the terrarium build. If you haven't seen part 1, you're going to want to take a look at the link above and in the description to get caught up. Now, I'm going to tell you, at the beginning of this project, I didn't think it was going to be a multi-part project. Maybe it's because I think I build faster than I do, or I never think things are going to take as long as they actually do. Which is probably why the room build, the Mandalorian, the Gonk, and several other projects are ongoing. Projects, in fact, can grow legs and run away from you. And sometimes you just have to lean in and get them done. So let's make some progress on this terrarium build right now. The terrarium needs a roof, and I have some interesting plans for what will be above it. But for now, let's cut out the rock and the spot for a skylight, because, you know, Rodney deserves a skylight, don't you think? I'll point out that I got this bit of aluminum from the big box store for around $6. It was a little bit bent, so I was able to pick it up from the bargain bin. So make sure you check those out in case you find a special treasure. I love my laser cutter. It's just one of those things that helps solve so many problems with so much accuracy. But sometimes the laser cutter isn't the right tool. It could be used to cut out the shape I've got here, but instead today we're going to cut this out with a hole saw, a jigsaw, and hopefully a little patience. I'm certainly not the smoothest with a handheld saw. Not like my father, who's like a surgeon with it. I've got a little bit of waviness going on in here, but I can fix it with a sanding block and a file. And I can do interesting curved cuts with just a couple of tools. Rodney doesn't want to hang out in a terrarium with just rock and sand. He wants some plant life to spruce up his space, and to snack on too. We thought we would use some artificial succulents to create some Rancor Pit-esque plants for Rodney. You know, not too many, but just to add a little something extra for him. By deconstructing, painting, and reconstructing these faux plants, we create something that isn't commonly seen in normal plants, but more from a galaxy far, far away. Now, we built the door last time, but it was time to add some weathering. Again here, as with so many of our projects, we went with water mixable oil paints. A bit of burnt umber, some Mars black, and we also did a little dry brushing with some bone white. Okay, let's get serious here, geeks. Rodney likes to eat live creatures. But he also truly enjoys a Gamorrean smoothie. So why not a hamster-style water feeder with liquefied Gamorrean inside to satisfy his thirst? I'm going to use both a little raw umber and a little bit of the ivory black, because not all weathering is just black or just brown. I like to have a little bit of a mix of the two. I take a little bit of water, this is just in a spritz bottle, and I just put a little bit on a rag, and that way if I need to clean off the brush a little bit, I can. Now weathering, for the most part, it gets stuck in the nooks and crannies. That's where we want it. I love using makeup brushes for weathering. You can buy several of them together, and they're cheap. I love that I can get almost an airbrush fade with them, and they work perfectly to really muddy up this water feeder. Okay, for the liquid Gamorrean, I'm going with this deep pour water from Woodland Scenics. I also used the green moss tint. Now I'll say right now that there are cheaper epoxy resins out there for this kind of stuff. In the future, I'm gonna look into more of those, and I'll share links when I find them. That said, this stuff worked like a champ for what I needed. Did you know it's the Smugglers Guild over on Patreon that enables us to put together this content? It's true. Without their support, we wouldn't have the resources to be able to do all of these project videos. And we want to thank each and every one of you members that continually supports and helps us to keep growing and moving forward. So if you're interested in behind the scenes content and little extra challenges that we're doing together as a group, or if you just want to help us to continue to put together this content, then consider following the links in the description below and head on over to Patreon and join the Smugglers Guild. The back wall where the feeder system is took me a bit to decide on how I wanted to build it. Ultimately, I felt like this section needed to have more of a mechanical aspect to it, like there was some kind of technology behind the way it works. The construction on this is simplicity mixed with creativity. I'm using old containers from bolts, styrene, model kit parts, 3D printed parts, and all types and bits of plastic. The goal here is to fill the area and give it more of a complicated look. This can be tricky. I'll tell you the best advice is to sit back, relax, and just enjoy filling up the space with all manner of parts. It's kit bashing, and it can be incredibly enjoyable. Oh, and Rodney needs a bowl too, because you know, Gamorreans leak a bit when you liquefy them. So why not use the back of an old smoke detector? I just filled the holes with clay, left it as rough as possible, as if there'd been some nasty bits in there for a while, primed it, and then filled it with more of that epoxy resin. As I said before, this project took on a mind of its own. I was going to keep it really simple, but as I got into it, I decided I wanted to tell more of a story with it. I'm okay with that, and I hope you are too. I hope you're picking up some great building tips, getting inspired, and overall, our biggest hope is that you're enjoying this crazy project. Now, several of you have asked if we're going to put a diorama of Jabba's palace above the Rancor pit. Nah. That's been done before, many times. We actually have something a little bit more interesting and definitely a bit more unusual planned for the whole top of Rodney's terrarium. But if you want to see that, yep, you're going to have to come back the next time we build something out of nothing.